What's up, everybody? Here to give my UFC 100 post-fight or afterthoughts, whatever you want to call it. Great event. Definitely lived up to, if not exceeded, the hype. It's probably the first event in a long time that I can recall where we only got the five fights advertised. No undercard bouts or anything like that. But I don't feel like I missed out on anything. I wouldn't mind seeing Mark Coleman, Stephan Bonner. Although I believe that's on UFC.com, so maybe I'll go check that out later when I have time. But either way, really good night of fights. Definitely different results. I didn't do so good on my predictions. I went 7-4 overall, but I was way off on Bisping, Henderson, and GSP Alves. Although the GSP Alves one, I'm obviously not surprised. But actually, I'm not surprised by Henderson Bisping either. I just went the wrong way. I'll get into that in a second. First off, started the night off with Yoshihiro Akiyama against Belcher. This earned fight of the night, and deservedly so. Great way to start off the card, Although the ring entrances took a bit too long for my liking in this fight. But once the fight started, it was on, I was surprised how much Akiyama stood and traded, which was pretty much the whole fight. Because, he's a judo gold medalist. I thought he'd look to work the ground game. But he was perfectly fine standing and trading it out with Belcher, which isn't something I would suggest doing normally. But he... Akiyama, that is, seemed to land the more cleaner, effective punches. I don't know if it's because Belcher's long hair. Every time he got hit, it looked like his hair, he really got rocked. It kind of reminiscent of Clay Guida with the long hair. Whenever he gets hit, it really looks like he's getting hit harder than possibly he is. Belcher was mixing in really good kicks to the legs and the body. Definitely had its effect on Akiyama later on in the fight. Close fight. First round, Akiyama seemed to be controlling, but then Belcher knocked him down. But Akiyama didn't look too hurt or anything. Second round, I think Akiyama pretty much controlled. The third round was pretty close. It was a very eventful round, very exciting because both guys were gassed, particularly Akiyama. He was completely gassed, and he was having problems seeing out of one of his eyes, which got swelled up from a Belcher punch, I believe, earlier in the fight. But he hung in there. I think Belcher could have pulled it out if he would have applied a little bit more pressure. Akiyama kept waving him in and didn't really have any defense. He was so gassed. He was there for the taking, but Belcher just, I guess he probably was just so tired he really couldn't, let it all out either. But good fight, goes to a decision. Akiyama gets a split decision. I thought he had won the fight, so I understand that Goldberg and Rogan were saying it was controversial. They thought Belcher won. I think if you go back and watch the fight, I think Akiyama won. At most, I'd give it a draw. I don't think Belcher won clearly, though, like the announcers. But, that's their opinion. They're there. They have a better point of view than I do. Next up, Dan Henderson, Michael Bisping. Wow. Michael Bisping he didn't listen to his corner at all. To be honest, he looked like he was going to try to employ the game plan I thought he would. Sticking moves down the outside, but I don't know. He just looked almost, I don't want to say scared, but he just didn't look like he wasn't confident once he got in there, especially for all the stuff he'd been talking. He was very aware of Henderson's right hand, it appeared. Obviously not aware enough, but it looked like he was aware of it. And he just really wasn't being very effective, although he was moving, sticking and moving. He wasn't really doing too much effect. Henderson was applying a lot of pressure in the first round. Just looked to stand and trade. And surprisingly enough, Bisping actually went for a takedown late in the round. And wasn't even close, And that really made me worry about Bisping because, I'm like, why would he go for a takedown unless he felt like he wasn't doing good in the stand-up? In between rounds, Bisping looked gassed. Came out in the second, didn't really look gassed there, but just never could really get on track. Henderson just proved to be the better man. More of the same from the first until Henderson absolutely detonated one of his big rights on Bisping's chin. Bisping was already out when he hit the ground. Henderson nailed him with a huge one while he was already out for good measure. Very reminiscent of Henderson's knockout of Vanderlei Silva in their second fight, where Vanderlei was already out and Bisping just dropped that right hand hammer on him. Just, make sure he was done for. So Henderson said in his post-fight, he wanted to make sure his mouth was shut, and he definitely did that. Literally, Bisping was in that lockjaw state when he was on the ground. So great win by Dan Henderson, and Michael Bisping really needs to work on game planning and just, I don't know, a more effective offensive game, I don't know. But Henderson's the better fighter, bottom line in it. he proved it in this fight. Next fight, GSP Thiago Alves, another fight I was way off on. I thought Alves could get a TKO. Granted, I did say if it went past the third round, GSP was going to take a decision. That was the case, but bottom line is I was wrong. GSP controlled this fight from round 1 on, from the first minute on. I thought he did really well at controlling distance, somewhat reminiscent of Lyoto Machida and Anderson Silva, where Alves couldn't really get close to GSP. He could never really land anything effective. He just couldn't get close. I don't know if it was the reach or just GSP's great footwork, but Alves just could never get close enough to really threaten GSP at any time. Anytime that GSP really wanted to, he would shoot him for takedowns, which he had great timing with that. When Alves would step in, GSP would go under, take the shot, get him down. What can you say? GSP dominated this fight, looked great, said he tore his groin in the third. I wouldn't even know if they didn't say anything, Granted, he didn't look as explosive as he normally does, but, the one bright spot for Alves, in the third round, he came out looking different. He came out more aggressive. Came forward. I really thought, okay, he's got a chance. He just looked more alive and more into the fight. But GSP ended up putting him down halfway through, smashing on him. And after that third round, if you look at Alves' demeanor, he just looked out of it. He looked defeated mentally. And last couple of rounds, props to Alves, or Alves, however you want to pronounce it, for hanging in there the distance. But GSP just dominated him. One-sided fight pretty much. Credit to GSP. Great performance. Even with the injury. And, he's going to get some time off. It sounds like he has a torn groin muscle. And, it's kind of for the best. Let these other 170 guys kind of establish a clear number 1 contender. But, to be honest, I don't see anyone out there 170 that's going to challenge GSP anytime soon. Next up, Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir. Finally, one I was right on, But, this fight was pretty one-sided as well. Brock Lesnar... Grant obviously didn't go the way I thought it would. I thought Lesnar might stay on the feet, hurt him there, then drop down and finish him. Brock just kind of took him down and just dominated him on the ground. I know the crowd was booing and saying stand them up, stand them up. There was no reason to, Brock Lesnar was controlling the positioning. He was controlling the fight. I have a friend I was watching the fights with. He's been training jiu-jitsu for a few years now. And I was asking him, is Lesnar, if Lesnar gets any positions where Mir can do anything, let me know. And he said no. I mean, Lesnar being in the half guard, there was nothing Frank Mir was ever, on the ground in position to catch any kind of submissions. He couldn't even set anything up, So Lesnar was never really in trouble on the ground. The one thing I was worried about. Second round, actually, real quick, Lesnar had that move where I believe he had his left hand cradling the back of Mir's head and was smashing him with the right. And it was very effective. After the first round, Mir's face was pretty busted up. And I think he was also a bit gassed. Having Lesnar on top of you and beating on you is definitely going to take something out of the tank, and Mir's never been known for his cardio in the first place. Second round, Mir landed something. I don't know if Lesnar was really hurt. It was hard to say, or if the announcers overreacted, or if it was just the way Lesnar kind of ducked down and went into Mir. I don't know if he was hurt or not. He got caught with something, but I don't really think he was hurt. Put Frank Mir down, got him against the cage. Frank, I think, was going to try to spin off the cage, use the fence, and throw up an armbar or something, but just never really had the chance. Brock once again cradled his head in that same position, controlled his head, or had his head up against the fence kind of, started dropping those big punches, and Mir couldn't get away. He was trapped. The referee smartly stopped the fight. Frank Mir was out of it. And Brock Lesnar, quite the post-fight celebration, got in Mir's face. I don't know if I really like that or not. I think you should show respect to a fighter whether you like him or not after the fight. I think you should always at least pay them the respect. But, on the mic, his post-fight, speech or whatever you want to call it, was pretty damn entertaining. I have to give him credit for that, Definitely a character. He's definitely going to be one of those people that fans either love or hate, especially flipping off the crowd. But, I don't know. I can't say I'm a fan or I'm not a fan, but I'm interested in seeing him fight. I don't really see anyone beating him in the heavyweight division for a long time unless Fedor Emelianenko or Josh Barnett possibly come to the UFC, but that's doubtful. Last fight of the night, John Fitch, Paulo Thiago, not much to say. John Fitch wins the decision, kind of boring fight, not the best way to end the night, but whatever, kind of brings the adrenaline down, but whatever, that's the only bad thing you can say about this card, then it was well worth the money. Once again, great night of fights, like I said, exceeded the hype in my opinion, and looking forward to seeing what everyone has next, looking forward to the next UFC, I think that a lot of fans or people a lot of people are tuned in for this, and I think we're going to get a lot more fans because of such a great event. So I'm out of here. Till next time. Bye.